everyone. I'm Jennifer Schock, and this is First Things First. I want you to think for a second about how amazing it feels to be invited to something. There's an event, there's something special happening, a party, a celebration, whatever it is, and you've been invited. Think about how you feel when you receive an invitation. You're wanted, you're included. Someone thought about you and decided, yeah, I want her, or I want him. As I've been thinking about Easter coming up, I've been considering the invitation embedded in the gospel. In the gospel of Jesus Christ, the good news, there's an invitation. It's the best invitation ever, actually. To really appreciate it, though, you have to think for a moment about what it feels like to be excluded, to be left out. It is a terrible feeling, a feeling that was never part of God's plan for humankind. He created us to be completely connected to Him, to be in constant fellowship with Him. But sin. Because of sin, because of disobedience, Adam and Eve were banished from Eden. They were excluded from God's presence. God even placed warrior angels at the entrance to the garden to keep them out. But because of God's great mercy, because He still wanted a special people for Himself, and He knows how much we need His presence, He gave the Israelites instructions for building a temple where He would come and dwell. However, there was still a curtain in the temple that separated the people from God's presence. Because of their sin, they couldn't get that close to Him. But then Jesus came into the world, a world in which a curtain remained a barrier between us and God. And He told the people He'd been sent to open the way back to God. And of course, the way back to God was Jesus Himself. When Jesus took the sin of humanity upon Himself as He hung on the cross, it made a way for us, a way back, that we would no longer be excluded, but rather invited into God's family. Mark 15:37 through 39 records the moment of Jesus' death. And Jesus uttered a loud cry and breathed His last, and the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. And when the centurion who stood facing Him saw that in this way He breathed His last, he said, "Truly this man was the Son of God." The curtain was torn down, and Jesus had made a way for us. Jesus rose again on the third day, and His resurrection means that we all are invited to live with Him forever, to never again be separated from God. We are invited into eternal life and to the best party ever, to the marriage supper of the Lamb, which John is told about in Revelation 19. There's a song, "O Come to the Altar," which beautifully captures the invitation of the gospel. Jesus is calling. "O come to the altar, the Father's arms are open wide. Forgiveness was bought with the precious blood of Christ." All are invited into restored relationship with God the Father through belief in Jesus Christ, His Son. I ask you to think about how amazing it feels to be the recipient of an invitation. Is there someone you'd consider inviting to celebrate Easter with us here at the Vineyard? A friend or a neighbor or a coworker? A person who no doubt loves to be invited to things just as you do? I want to encourage you to extend that invitation. Invite him or her to church, to an Easter service, to celebrate the risen Christ, or maybe even respond personally to Jesus' invitation for the first time. May you experience today, friends, the joy that comes from being a part of the family of God, and may you be bold to extend that invitation to others.